The delivery room door from the hospital where I was born, it's got this sign on it. It says, "Keep doors closed." I couldn't do that. I always felt very loved by my parents. I always felt very loved by everybody within my adoptive family. And I remember when I was a kid on the playground at school, I used to brag about being adopted. I used to tell other kids that their parents got stuck with them. I mean, my parents chose me. I really thought it was a cool thing. My parents never tried to mold me into who they thought I should be. I was this total tomboy, and they never tried to make me into this frou-frou or dress me up. I remember I wanted to be a cowboy, and so what did they do about that? They took me to a park and stuck me on a horse. My dad died when I was 9, and I think death really cheats a child of ever really knowing a parent fully. And so I don't know how he would have felt about my desire when I was grown up to search for my birth family. My mom was like my best friend. I mean, I felt like I could tell her anything except that I was interested in finding out where I came from. And I think I was terrified that I might hurt her, but maybe even more than that, I was afraid I might damage our relationship. In a lot of ways, I think I was protecting me as much as I was protecting her. I started searching for my birth family when I was 28 years old, and over the course of the next 4 years, I tried a lot of different things, but with no success. And then I became pregnant with my first child. Actually, I flew home to tell my mom that I was pregnant with her first grandchild, and she met me at the door with the news that she had cancer, and it didn't look good. And she only lived for 10 more weeks after that, and I stopped searching for a long time. When my first son was born and I was holding him in my arms, that was the first moment in my entire life I was ever looking at someone I was biologically related to, and it was an incredibly profound thing. I didn't search for about a year, and then I decided I'd try one more thing, and I hired a private investigator, but to be honest with you, I kind of didn't expect anything to happen. And I'll never forget the night she called me and said, "Jean, you better sit down. I found your birth mother."
Out of the blue, I found I was going to become a mother without the benefit of marriage. I was told before the baby was born, don't look at the baby, don't see her, let it go. And that was something I couldn't do. I found out after I gave birth that this was incredible. I desperately wanted to keep her. I called home and said, "Please, Mom, let me keep this baby." There was no encouragement. There was not a possibility of that. I remember how that baby was wrapped, and I kept saying goodbye to her. And then I remember that the social worker, she took the baby from me and she laid her in the back seat, and the car drove off. And I remember watching the taillights as going around the bend, and there I was, truly alone, and with a much bigger hole in my heart than I ever dreamed of. That's how I felt. There was a trauma and a loss in my life that I was never able to deal with, and I was told never to mention her again, forget it, and I could not forget it year after year after year.
I mean, it's so hard to describe what it's like, that first phone call, because I called her up on the phone, and it's the most intense feeling you can imagine. I mean, the very first time you're talking to the person who gave birth to you, and you're 33 years old.
That first phone call I received from my birth daughter was probably the most amazing event of my life.
What do you say? How do you start that conversation?
As far as in terms of emotional, it's like you've awakened from a nightmare and you're alive.
And yet I look back on it, I remember thinking at the moment that I was surprised that in some ways I felt numb, because you've got so many emotions flooding through you. I think your brain doesn't even know which one to react to. I was on overload that night.
I was awakening from a long dream, and the best dream in the world came true, that my birth daughter found me, was alive and well.
Yeah, I didn't just find my birth mother. She also had 7 other kids. So I found my birth mother and 4 brothers and 3 sisters and 15 nieces and nephews. So, basically what I found was kind of like the Brady Bunch. I think it surprised a lot of people that even though it was very exciting when I first talked to my birth mother, it actually was not an easy thing to meet her.
I wanted to make her feel at home, so I said, call me Mom.
That scared the heck out of me. I mean, nobody was ever going to replace my mom. I just lost my mom. And so that one line kind of kept us apart for a couple of years.
And I went, I knew it, I blew it. I blew it, she's going to go away and never come back again.
The thing that really brought us together was that my birth mother was also adopted.
When I was 4 years old, my dad put me on his lap and they told me that I was adopted. And I remember thinking that I didn't want to be adopted, I wanted to belong to them.
And she decided that she wanted to try and find her birth mother.
I knew somewhere there was somebody else.
We looked for 6 years and found nothing. It was very discouraging, and yet for me to help keep my birth mother up during times when she was really discouraged was one of the things that became the foundation of a real friendship between us. And then my birth mother finds her birth mother, Mary Frances Brown.
And the first person I thought to call was Jean.
My birth mother gets this letter in the mail and called me on the phone, and I actually didn't recognize her voice because she was sobbing so hard.
I guess what was so wonderful about calling Jean was I knew how excited she'd be, because this is the road we went down arm in arm.
And she was like, Jean, I got this letter. And I'm like, well, what did she say? And she said, I don't know, I'm too scared to open it.
So I opened it and I started to read it, but I couldn't quite get all the words out. And Jean kept saying, it's okay, go ahead.
I'm listening to my own birth mother reading to me the very first words she's ever hearing from her birth mother. It was just magic.
My mother said, now we mustn't talk to each other on the telephone because I haven't told anybody about you ever. I had my first little twinge of doubt in whether she would chicken out to meet me. Jean kept saying, Lee, this is an enormous letter, a letter of enormous love that you received, and that this is the beginning. And how right she was.
Now, these two women haven't seen each other in 60 years.
As I came into the station, and I had all my things in my arms, and this very lovely looking lady put her arms around me and said, hi, Mom. It was a very emotional meeting. We didn't say much to each other, just held on for dear life, as if another moment would take us apart again.
When Mom first got off the bus in Chicago, that was more than I could manage.
It brought me wonderment and delight that she was alive and all right.
To see your mother, the woman you dreamed about your entire life. And there she is. And she's just a person there.
My grandmother spent most of her childhood in an orphanage. Grandma hadn't seen her mother's face since 1927. She didn't even have a picture of her mother, Flora. And what was weird was, while we were searching for her, Lee and I had found a distant cousin who had a picture of Flora that we were able to give to my grandmother. Flora's the first thing Grandma sees when she wakes up and the last thing she sees before she goes to sleep every night.
It's given me a tremendous sense of freedom to know that I can say to the world, this is my daughter, this is my granddaughter, these are my grandchildren, there are so many. And look at the world and say, see what a family I have.
Mom has given me a feeling of strength inside that I never had before in my entire life. When I talk about closure, I guess I need to use the term strength of closure.
To me, it was really sad in a lot of ways that Lee had always had this really low self-esteem, and finding her mother seemed to change it just like that. And it's like she had to wait 60 years for that to happen, and it's not right.
This is kind of our little tribe of three.
The three of us call ourselves the Triumvirate, and it's kind of like this little special club. I mean, the three of us have all gone through kind of the same thing. I'm an adoptee, my birth mother's an adoptee, my grandmother was raised in an orphanage. It always felt so disloyal in a lot of ways for me to have any feelings towards my birth mother. But here's this woman, she gave birth to me, and I really held her at arm's length for a long time because it just didn't feel right against the memory of my mother to be close to her. But somehow in finding Grandma and in becoming the Triumvirate and the three of us just being such good friends, it just opened the door for this incredible relationship that we now have. You know, I read somewhere that all the Browns have good memories, except you.
Do you want to know what I want to do?
What?
This is your birthday. Anyway, no,
It is my birthday.
I want to walk down a stairway sometime to Hello Dolly. That's what I'd like to do.
Grandma, what's your dream? I wouldn't be here if it were not for these two little tiny people. And it's amazing. I'm so much bigger than they are.
This is very true at this point.
I think you gave birth to me. This is true. I think you gave birth to me
I think that's true too.
so that I would come back and get the two of you together.
See there?
What's your dream?
My dream.
What's your dream?
I couldn't ask dream on anymore because all the best things have happened to me in the last couple of years.
We went back to the hospital where I was born, back to that delivery room. And what was weird was we had no idea they were tearing it down and building a brand new hospital. But my birth mother asked permission and we got to walk into this ward where I had been born. And we actually went and saw this delivery room door that had, you know, this little sign on it that said keep doors closed. And so we opened the door and we went into the delivery room and my birth mother took a picture of me right there, you know, under the lights, right where I was born. And in a lot of ways for me, that was coming full circle. That was kind of the climax of the story. And I am so glad I opened that door.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to help you like me. When I am with you, suddenly I'm dark and breezy, because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about you day by day.
There's always more love, and that's all that's happened. And getting to know all these people in my birth family is I just have a lot more people in my life to love. That's all. And you know, that ain't bad. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.